My name is Jimmy Gale Watson.
Willis Strauss.
Daniel Matthew Strong.
Heath Geisler.
Shannon Scaff.
Master Sergeant E7 in the Air Force.
Lieutenant Commander, retired.
Professional pilot.
United States Marine Corps.
I served in the United States Marine Corps.
United States Coast Guard.
Air Force Pararescueman, or PJ.
And the Navy SEALs.
Lieutenant Commander, retired.
Medically retired.
Medically retired as a staff sergeant.
Retired after 16 and a half years in the service.
I was hit with a lot of big search and rescue cases. Lots of great missions that, I was able to bring people back home to their families, but too many where I wasn't able to.
I was 19 years old and I was just not emotionally prepared to witness the things that I got to see.
My little brother was walking through the house and had a pulmonary embolism, fell dead in the kitchen.
My first multi-systems casualty was a little girl who got blown up by a bomb because she was chasing her ball in the wrong part of town.
My air crew was tasked with looking for an overdue small sailing vessel with a family of 4 on board.
I grabbed my buddy one time. I was grabbing him and pointing at a car to halt, to stop, to just watch. Instead, he just spiderwebbed the window with his machine gun.
Killing women and children by accident. Seeing your Marine buddies get killed in front of you.
Very suddenly, a radio transmission came across to our helicopter to go to a specific location.
Brooke, my fiance, was pregnant. The doctor came in with the biopsy results. The biopsy showed that she had liver cancer.
It was a booby trap. There's mines everywhere. While we were actually getting this other patient out, someone else near us actually blew up.
My vehicle went over an IED. I spent 2 years in a hospital recovering from that, broken my hip, my back, my arm, traumatic brain injury.
And so I jumped from the aircraft and swam up to the vessel.
And I'll never forget when we drove past, everything in my body said don't look in the vehicle, but I had to. I had to look, and this lady, I'll never forget those, you don't get those screams out of your head.
And so they ran a couple tests and said that the baby had passed away. They were afraid that if they cut her, that the cancer would get into her bloodstream. So she had to go through 26 hours of delivery to have a baby that had already passed away.
The 2 people that were face down were unfortunately a 9-year-old girl and her mother.
I told her, it was okay to be with the baby, because I knew that's where she wanted to be. And a tear come out of her right eye, and it wasn't, 30 seconds since she took her last breath.
I saw the mom pulling her hair out, and I was indirectly responsible of him killing these 2 kids.
It hurts. There's no explanation. It just hurts. And you bear that. And then it happens to your brothers, and then it happens to your sisters, and it happens to everyone. And
even at bars, people would say, Jimmy, how have you done all that stuff and you're not messed up by it? But the whole time I have 15 shots of Jack, lined up.
it just keeps building up inside, and you just keep bottling it up inside because no one teaches you how to deal with it.
It got to the point where I was just done. I just checked out.
And I really didn't understand what was happening. But I was being eaten alive, by this pain.
I had to really just turn off the aspect of wanting to live.
It all bottled up, and after being told I was no longer qualified, then I tried to take my own life.
I was at the end of my rope, literally. I hung myself in a mental hospital, in a mental ward.
I got in a truck. I pulled out my .45, stuck it to my head, and squeezed the trigger, and it went click.
And that's where I was before I came to the drop zone.
When I met Jesus in 2003, I was like, now what do I do? What do I do? And he said, I'm going to give you a new assignment. And that assignment was really to help restore warriors that were living with a broken heart, literally in the spiritual realm. what you hear today, which has been going on since probably 2015, 2016, is, that we're losing 22 a day. That seems to be the mantra, 22 a day. But what people don't recognize, what they don't realize, is that those are 22 sons, right? Their fathers, their husbands. Those are people that are taking their lives every day. And to date, we have lost more of our warriors to suicide than we have to battle.
And there's thousands and thousands of families that have veterans in active duty that are in that same place, but they don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. And ORW has that answer.
It's been an incredibly humbling and eye-opening experience to just see the way that Jesus comes in to our brokenness like he did for me, but then to be able to help somebody else, to pull them out. It's such a privilege.
Operation Restored Warrior brings to light what true freedom is and where it's found. When we live from the spiritual heart that God has given us, we live in a place of freedom and strength.
I spoke to ORW mid-November, and I was in the drop zone that December.
I had several friends that had wanted me to go to ORW, but I was afraid it was going to end up being a gimmick.
When I showed up at the drop zone, I was done. I was dead man walking. I had given up on life.
I was dead. There was no life left in me. I had a new plan that was going to be very successful next time.
But when I get there, I think that I'm going to be able to hide out and just be the gray man. I realize that it's just me and 3 or 4 other guys. And I started getting nervous.
And as I'm walking up to them, I'm like, oh God, these guys are studs, right? Special operations dudes,
They all treated me like they had known me their whole life.
And they were so happy. And I was just like, oh great, another program. Because I've been to these programs. I had the gallon-sized baggie of medications that everyone wants to give me.
I had folks go, listen, I don't buy into this Jesus thing. I don't go to church. I'm like, perfect. You're absolutely perfect to come here. We're happy that you're here.
And I'll never forget Paul said, we just want you guys to crack your heart open just this much and trust a little bit. I said, I don't mean to disrespect you guys, but that's pretty bold. 100% change here, that we're going to have a turnaround here, that we're going to find ourselves here and Jesus is going to talk to us.
I mean, I had some anxiety about it, and I looked around the room, and I can see in their faces they're feeling the same thing, like, who are these guys and what am I doing here?
And I was so broken down. My shoulder hurt so bad. It felt like a knife was sticking in my shoulder and my 2 fingers were numb. I thought, God, I said, how can I even be restored in my heart? Like they're talking, like this guy Paul's talking. If my shoulder, my arm is in so much pain that I can't even focus on that, even if it did happen. So I said, Jesus, I don't hear from you ever. I feel like my life is over. And my life was over.
And a lot of my hatred that I had was for God. And we had to break a lot of things off. And as soon as they did, Jesus just embraced me in that moment.
We met in prayer. We spoke with Jesus together. Jesus was able to, communicate to both Paul and I about some of the things that have been heavy on my heart for years.
I went to a place that the mind can't even fathom. Getting to meet Brooke, hold the baby again. I can't do it justice.
On the 3rd day, they said, Jimmy, are you ready to be changed? And I said, man, are you guys serious, And so I went into my group session with Jordan and Daniel. And then Jordan said, and your shoulder hurts real bad, right? Your left shoulder? I said, yeah. And he reached over and he prayed, and it was healed like this.
I was shown that those 2 individuals that I carried with me and what happened to them for all those years, that those 2 folks weren't suffering anymore. And in fact, in the moments of their passing, Jesus was with them as well.
I can't explain the feeling. I can't explain the weight that was lifted off of me.
I felt a switch inside of me. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was miraculous. use that term a lot, but now I felt like I belonged.
Every chain, burden, pain, everything just fell to the ground. And Jesus just took everything with open arms and still embraced me in it and just took everything.
It's amazing what my eyes have been opened up to, and it's been there the whole time. I just needed to look at it.
I owe everything to the Lord and the guys at ORW.
When someone gives financially to support the mission of Operation Restored Warrior, the return on that investment is eternal.
Upon hearing the impact that ORW makes for people, I wouldn't understand how you could not want to give.
I feel like Jesus is wanting us to grow, but it takes funds to do that. And I've never asked, so I'm asking.
But I could never pay them enough. There's no amount of money. When you give to support ORW, you're helping guys like myself that have lost everything.
My challenge would be that there is no price on a life, that this is an opportunity that's beyond this world. There's no price tag on that.
What is a life worth to you? And if you knew that it could be saved, what would you be willing to do?
My heart was forever changed. Operation Restore Warrior did for me in 3 days what no doctor, no psychiatrist, no person, place, or thing, no title, what nobody else in this world, no amount of money in the world could do for me, they were able to do through the power of Jesus Christ of Nazareth.